Oh, hello. Welcome to today's Decay. We're celebrating births and beginnings of everything important since the dawn of time. It is January 21st, and here are all the dates. Is that really right? Grigory Rasputin, born today, 1869. Or was he? I guess the Russians had their own years system, but in our standpoint, it was 1869. And when did he die? Has he ever died? Will he ever die? Nobody really knows. Anyway, he's a fun person to consider as far as how much is fact and fiction. I don't know. I like thinking about it though. What else? Franz Sedlacek, born today, 1891, who is an Austrian painter who kind of defies genre characterization, but did some really great, twisted, monstrous, weirdo artwork for like 20 years or more. It's really fun. I mean, it's like somewhat Otto Dix, somewhat surrealism. There's like old master references in there. He's all over the place, and it's almost all hits. Little to no misses. Yeah. What we are missing is While Paris Sleeps, which premiered today in 1923. This was a Maurice Tourneur directed film starring Lon Chaney Sr. It is a lost movie. A significant amount of films produced before, like, I think it's something like 1947 or something like that, maybe even more recently in the 50s. A significant amount of films that were produced before some mid-century date are actually all lost. It's quite shocking. I think like you view it as like a line in the sand of like there's talkies and there's silence, and a lot of the silence went silent, but that's not the case. There's really a lot of films that went missing. For the first half of the 20th century, I'd say. This one, 1923, Maurice Tourneur, who I've talked about before, Jacques Tourneur's father, who grew up in France, watching the Grand Guignol unfold live on stage as actresses would get cattle prodded or limbs ripped off or dipped in acid or something like that, and then took some of those elements and put them into his films. Starting in France, films like Wax Faces, the Dr. Tar, Professor Feather, the Edgar Allan Poe adaptation. He then came to America in the mid to late teens, I think, and quickly connected with Lon Chaney before Lon Chaney was a star. Lon Chaney became a star in The Miracle Man in 1919. This here. At around the same time, Maurice Tourneur cast him in his film Victory, which is really good. Chaney has a supporting role. He cast him in several different pirates in Treasure Island, also a lost movie, and also right around the same time, 1919, 1920, also cast him as a mad wax sculptor in this film, While Paris Sleeps. It was shelved for some reason until 1923. I'm not really sure why. Possibly by 23, Chaney's in Hunchback of Notre Dame, and is a like bona fide worldwide star. And maybe for some reason this was considered not worth releasing before. I really don't know. But it didn't come out at the time it was produced. It was shelved for like 3 or 4 years. I've been pretty obsessed with this. It seems like the first example of a mad wax sculptor story that was filmed. There's Silent, White, and Beautiful. That's a short story by Todd Robbins, the same writer who wrote Spurs, which became the inspiration for or the source material for Todd Browning's Freaks. But what year is that? It's right around the same time, probably like 1920 or so. So like this film would have come out before that, and the source material was like, where are you getting this from? Because it is like, the story we know and love that became Mysteries of the Wax Museum and House of Wax and everything else, where you've got a mad wax sculptor who kills people, puts them in wax, and then displays them for art's sake. Right? That old story. Don't we all love that one? Anyway, so I got quite obsessed with this, and it is actually based off of a novel called The Glory of Love by somebody, Beresford, I forget, but the person's pen name is Pan, and it took me forever to find a copy of this, but here is, can you see this? No, it's too dark. Too dark. Right. The Glory of Love. I was trying to go for some expressionistic lighting here, and I think I'm working against myself. The Glory of Love by Pan, and it is definitely French feeling. It says here, Glory of Love by, in quotes, Pan, author of, in quotes, Flame, etc. Okay, whatever. This was like near impossible to find. And it's fascinating because it's not too dissimilar to, I read Hands of Orlac, Maurice Renaud novel, which is the source material for Hands of Orlac and Mad Love. And that had a similar feel to it, where it's so, you're expecting some level of exploitation or something shocking, and yes, there's these scenes going on in the background that are kind of like implied, but all the horror is not played out right in front of your eyes. It's really, really frustrating as a modern reader or viewer to get something out of these stories. And The Glory of Love is the same issue as I would say Hands of Orlac is more rewarding than Glory of Love. I understand why this was never reproduced. And I think that while it was loosely based off of this novel, I think that Tourneur really based his script, the screenplay, off of some Grand Guignol he must have seen. That's got to be it, because it's just not in here as much as you really want it to be. I've never heard of a script of While Paris Sleeps existing. It's confusing because there's a While Paris Sleeps in the pre-code era, like 10 years later, 32-ish. No relation whatsoever, story-wise or anything, to this film. There's barely any stills of this movie. Everything about this is like such a mystery. It's something I would love to do a live stage play for Fan Creek Theater for, but there's just not enough content out there to like piece it together. Famous last words. Maybe something will be found, right? Yeah. Okay, what else? Cosmic Voyage premiered in 1936. This is a super far out sci-fi robot story produced in Russia, of all places, in like the mid-30s. Lots of fun, really great visuals. Got a copy of it somewhere. Maybe that's what I'll watch later tonight. Staying inside because it's freezing out. And last but certainly not least, 1948, on this day, Philip J. Riley was born. And he would really appreciate this because he was a Lon Chaney historian who worked with Forrest J. Ackerman on putting together the London After Midnight film book in like the mid-80s, early to mid-80s, something like that. And wrote extensively on Chaney and various horror and sci-fi, silent, I should say, film content, all the stuff that really writes. Yeah. So there you go. That's the whole day. From me to you. Till tomorrow. Goodbye.